What's going on, folks? Welcome back to another episode of Charm City Heavyweights Podcast, brought to you by the great folks at Great 8 Sports Memorabilia in Parkville, Maryland. I'm the host, Matt Trigger. With me is my esteemed co-host, Josh Merrill. What's going on, Josh?
What's up, Matt? Coming live from the man cave. This is a big one. Super Bowl 35. I got the ring. Qadry, Ismail helped me earn for me cheering. I'm excited. I only wore this one too. I didn't wear the 2012 one, just 35.
Gotcha. Without further ado, spoiling the guests for tonight, we have Purple Pregame Show host and Super Bowl champion Baltimore Ravens wide receiver Qadry Ismail. Qadry, thank you so much for joining the show tonight. How you doing, man?
Yo, the Super Bowl championship ring, it blings out. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I should have brought mine on and been able to go ahead and do the Wonder Twin powers activate.
Yeah. There you go. Except yours is real. Mine was Amazon, man.
Hey, man, all I know is when, as a player, you so locked in on your season, you get really myopic and you don't realize, everybody has had their stories and experiences as fans. And then as you retire, you go ahead, and obviously I've been a part of, broadcasting, whether it be that 2012 season with the Ravens or doing WBAL, WJZ, heck, even back in the day doing Fox. Mm-hmm. You start to hear all the stories of the different fans that made memories going down to Tampa and reliving just, that with them. And obviously that Super Bowl championship ring means something to you as much as my real one means to me. So I love it. I love the stories. I love all of the history and the connection between me as a player and the fan base.
Oh, absolutely. I'll still see you as a player. I always will see you as a player, Qadry. That was an awesome year, man. I was in the 8th grade. I don't want to make you feel old, but I was in the 8th grade, man. That was like a big deal, and I always regretted it because I was a kid when you guys won it. So and you guys hadn't been here that long. That was year 6, and so I thought it was always going to be like that, and it wasn't. We went a long time before we got another one. I learned my lesson.
Well, it's interesting because from a vantage point of we went a long time, technically, 2012 compared to the bigger history of the NFL, even the Steelers, if you look at their first 30 years, they were terrible, so right off the bat to be able to go to the championship and win it, then all of a sudden win it again in a short span of the history of the Baltimore Ravens is quite remarkable. Unlike the Steelers, it took them a long time before they really had their mojo.
It sure did. A lot of people forget that or don't talk about that, but you're right. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah, those Steelers, I don't
know. I will say Adam, the producer, he is the only Steelers fan I actually can somewhat get along with. During the off season.
During the off season.
Right. During the off season.
You're like, I'm sure he's a nice guy and any other color other than purple and yellow.
Yeah, that's right.
It's been an interesting offseason though, Qadry. We've entered the territory of where we have a new offensive coordinator in town. We have a plethora of new wide receivers in town. And I wanted to kind of get your take on it. We started off with Nelson Aguilar, made the big splash with Odell Beckham Jr., and then later on added Laquan Treadwell and the incumbent holdovers of Duvernay, Prochet, and Rashad Bateman. What is your thought process on how the wide receiver room is looking heading into training camp?
Well, I think the big picture of it all, on paper, they look stacked. On paper, they look like they are the real deal. Certainly Odell Beckham, his resume speaks for itself. He's legit box office when it comes to just the grand scope of his career. He's made, arguably one of the most acrobatic one-hand catches that will go down in the annals of, NFL lore. At the same time, when you look at Nelson Aguilar, he's a guy where, people in Philly are nervous for him to catch a baby. But, he kind of came back a little bit and did his thing in somewhat in New England. And I think judging by how he felt, coming into mini camp, and I think he's kind of, ready to really shine and be that guy, if you will. A strong role player. But I think the biggest thing that's not necessarily missing, or I should say the addition that was missing, was the play caller. And now that you have Todd Monken on board, I think it syncs everything up, and it validates pretty much what you look at when you say, okay, you got all this talent. You got guys at the receiver position. You're going to have Devin Duvernay coming back. You're going to have, Bateman coming back. Obviously, we talked about Aguilar and OBJ. You got Zay Flowers. My goodness, this is a young, talented first-round draft choice. But it means nothing if you don't have a system to really feature guys and show what they can do and make guys be able to go out there and just be their best. So I think ultimately this is a really grand opportunity to, not only be a Raven receiver, but I think when it comes to Todd Monken, it's great as a coordinator because you have some weapons that you can really feature for your franchise quarterback, Lamar Jackson.
Do you feel as though that there's almost too high of expectations for the offense? Because a lot of the fan base is thinking that it's going to be guns a-blazing, 50 points the first week that we come out with this offense, and everything's going to have growing pains naturally. Do you think that the fan base needs to temper their expectations on the output of this offense in week one?
Not necessarily. Remember 2019 week one in Miami? My God, man. I mean, that was an explosion of an offense. And, you saw an aggressive blitzing team that literally in the scope of it, you didn't expect the Ravens to not flinch and just put up points the way they did against the Dolphins that day. I think this can be that kind of a output that will surprise a lot of folks. Obviously, you got to go through training camp. Obviously, trying to figure out what's best as far as putting people in position, it really matters. So, yeah, ultimately, I think this is going to be a season of high expectations, but you also have a quarterback that has exceeded said high expectations time and time again. And I don't think this is going to be any different.
That's a fair assessment. And Josh and I have talked a lot recently about the Ravens offense and where certain guys are fitting in with the changeover in offense. And I know that it's just around, the rookies are there, Lamar's there, a couple other veterans are there. One person that we wanted to ask you about, or I would particularly want to ask you about, that fits into the offense or where their role might be is Pat Ricard.
It's a good question.
Ricard, I think. I think number one, he has a hip injury, and number two, I think they might be moving him. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a guy that's fighting for a guard position on the offensive line. I think that his days of a fullback and all those things, I think those days are in the rearview mirror. I think this is a different offense, a different style. Maybe if Greg Roman would have gotten a job somewhere else, he probably, would have went along with him. But I think this is, that ship has sailed, if you will, as far as Pat Ricard and doing what he does and did in that offense. That was a run-first offense that relied upon a ton of tight ends and a Pat Ricard kind of a Swiss Army knife type of a player.
That's very interesting that you mentioned guard, because you're the first person that I've actually heard suggest that. And in all reality, if you put 15 pounds on him, he's a guard anyway. So
I think he played well at guard. I mean, he can move.
I think
he's
so
strong
too.
as an ox. Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, I absolutely think he can, and I think that if there's anybody who's resilient and has been resilient in their career, I mean, it's been Pat Ricard. Like that dude.
That's true.
Oh, D line to offensive side of the ball and flow the way he has. I mean, that shows a lot of mental toughness, of awareness, of knowing both sides. Like that's hard. You're learning two different languages, and he just picked right up on it. So, I think bigger picture, if there's anybody who can do it, it's Pat Ricard. And I think it's about him just going out there, showing up, and being ready. But he first has to get healthy, and I think that's priority number one for him.
Absolutely. Qadry, what's your big question mark about this team? For me, the pass rush concerns me. But I do like what I see out of Owe, and oh my God, his name just left my mind.
Ojabo.
Help me. Ojabo. I do like what I'm seeing from them. It looks like Owe put on a little more muscle. The little bit we saw of Ojabo last year, I mean, he got a sack pretty quick. What's your big question mark? What scares you?
Yeah, I guess from a weakness standpoint, you got to look at the D line. Tyus Bowser, I thought he looked good, looked solid, but we want to see a full year. Obviously, Odafe Owe, like my goodness, we would see his talent, and I think guys like, whoa, oh my God, oh, ooh, oh. Because he would be so close, and it's like, my God, man! Like, look at the speed, look at the athleticism. Oh, okay, quarterback got away. Oh, okay, he didn't set the edge. Oh, he almost had the sack. Oh my God, he would have been able to get him from behind. My God, we'd have had a loss of 2, and they would have had to punt the ball. So with Chuck Smith, I think it's going to be great because now you get a coach that can, really just work with some technique and I think, the fact that he got his running mate in Ojabo, I think, that chemistry and that flow is going to be really helpful for him. I think that's a weakness, if you will. I think the linebacking core could be the strongest. We've seen it. Obviously, Roquan Smith, high tide raises all ships type of vibe. I love that. I think ultimately when it comes down to the way in which this team is being built, there really isn't the quality of depth at the corner position. But I think that now that F- is out the building, you're not going to have to worry about the attrition of the secondary. And I think that Marcus, Kyle, Rock Yashin, and Marlon, they all are going to be, ballers. I don't foresee them breaking down per se and having to go too deep into the roster to fill in a position, due to an injury. So ultimately, I mean, let's play ball. Like, what are we looking at? Left guard, as a competition going into camp. I'll do that at any point in the day. That's fine by me.
Qadry, do you think that we need to potentially add another cornerback as depth? A lot of people want Marcus Peters back. Josh and I seem to think that ship has sailed because, honestly, we could have given Marcus Peters what we gave Rock Ya-Sin. Do you think that we should entertain a veteran to add another layer to it? Because if one cornerback gets hurt, then you're suddenly looking at the secondary or the cornerback position going from being a strength to a deficiency.
Yeah, again, I think part of building a team is being aware of who's out there, not necessarily trying to just spend to spend. also you have to look at, repetition in camp. And so a lot of the repetition in camp gives guys opportunities to show that they belong in the league. And when you get veterans, sometimes, veterans know they don't want to give up certain reps, but then at the same time, you kind of, as a coach, you get a little lazy because I already know that this guy knows what he's doing, and you don't really fully get a full chance to, you don't get a chance to fully develop the depth behind the starters. Again, because F- is out the building and strength and conditioning isn't going to be as what we've seen in the past, then I'm hoping that the breakdown, the soft tissue breakdown injuries that occurred will be limited. And here we go. Let's roll with who we got.
And I agree with you on everything that you just said, honestly, because I battle with it, and Josh can attest to it because we have a lot of this conversation even in text messages or hanging out. If you bring in another cornerback that's proven, now what young cornerback do you risk losing to the waivers or having to put on your practice squad? You drafted Caillou Blue Kelly this year. You have Pepe Williams and you have Jalen Armour Davis coming back from last year. You have Daryl Worley and Kevin Seymour that were both re-signed with the addition of Rock Ya-Sin and Marlon Humphrey being CB1. It's almost like you want to develop these guys, but Pepe dealt with injuries. Jalen Armour Davis didn't dress for majority of the games last year. Mm-hmm. And Worley is he played great down the stretch, but is he durable enough to be your nickel cornerback for a full season? And then you are essentially assigning dime cornerback to Seymour. So you draft all these guys in the mid rounds, hoping that they'll pan out. And as much as I want to have another veteran in camp, you got, like you said, you got to develop these guys.
So, the beauty of the way things shape, whether it be, USFL, XFL, obviously Canadian League, but, the college game, the NFL is the pinnacle. And you don't get a lot of opportunities, like you would say, in basketball. I mean, you got the G League, you got European League, you got obviously, somewhat of college, but you got these other preparation type leagues, and then you got a plethora of games. So there's all this like flow to get guys able to play and get them up to speed. When you're looking at the NFL, practice is your game. You take practice as your game, and some guys, they don't need practice because of their expertise and how they process the game and how it's slowed down for them. When you look at young guys, like Armour Davis, my God, man, I'm like, can I please have more reps? Like Marlon, he might need 1 or 2, but Armour Davis might need 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and I'm good. All right, finally, I see it. Oh, we got a preseason game. My God, I got to figure out, all right, he beat me on that double move. Man, I got to figure that out. Ooh, they had this formation and they did these, route recognition. I remember that via my study, and it's great that I got validated. All those little things happen when you play. It doesn't happen when you're sitting there and you're thinking, oh yeah, I'm the man and I can sit back and, watch the veterans or watch the starters. No, that that ain't how it works in the NFL. You got to take practice like a game if you're a young player trying to get on the roster.
That's a fair point. It is great to have you break that down because we constantly argue about it, how we want the young guys to step up. Like you said, we don't always know the inner workings. You've been there, done that. You were in the league for 10 years. So you know that every rep counts and every preseason game counts because, like the other sports, you don't have a plethora of games to get your reps and get your experience. But my co-host has been waiting for this interview for a long time. He wants to ask you a little bit about the Super Bowl year, Qadry. So we're going to take a little bit of a throwback to 21, 22 years ago now.
Qadry, I just have a few questions, man. I just got a few questions I got to ask. First, you were drafted, second round by the Vikings, if my research was right. Coming over from a team like that, they had Chris Carter, they were throwing the ball everywhere, Randy Moss. I don't know if you were there with Randy.
Randy was after me, yeah.
After you, yeah. What was that like coming from a team like that to here where it was, Jamal Lewis pounding the ball and built around defense? Was it frustrating as a wide receiver, or did you?
No, I think you got to look at the bigger picture. The bigger picture, 1998, Brian Billick, like you said, had Randy Moss, Chris Carter, Jake Reed, had a really strong tight end group, had a very similar explosive type offense that we're hoping to see now with Todd Monken and all the guys.
Right.
So Randall Cunningham, just blew it up. They were awesome. And so sure enough, here comes Brian Billick. Brian Billick gets hired from his office coordinator, and now he's the head coach. And so the 1999 season, I get a phone call. I called it my wilderness experience, where I was figuring out how to be a pro. So my Dolphin year experience in my jersey number 86 that I wore, and then, my Viking year to my Dolphin year, and I have my Saints jersey, I don't know, somewhere. But that being said, that was my wilderness experience, and going to my wilderness experience to then going ahead and taking it to the next level with my Ravens years. Mm-hmm. Brian literally gives me a call, says, "Hey, I need a guy that knows my offense. Come on in here. You're a vet. You can help me out." Boom. I go ahead, do my thing. And I loved it. I mean, it was offense that I knew. It was offense that, everything that I could tell the guys what to do and how to do. We were good. And obviously the first non-losing season. Going into 2000, we thought Tony Banks was going to take the next step. We thought Tony Banks was going to be that guy that's going to throw for 4,000 yards, 32 touchdowns, minimal interceptions. You had strong offensive line. You had a running game with Priest Holmes. Didn't really know who Jamal Lewis was going to be, but obviously you had a young, talented running back. Mm-hmm. And, we had Shannon Sharp and Ben Coates at tight end, two stud, tight ends. Obviously myself, Patrick Johnson, Brandon Stokely, Jermaine Lewis as our, crazy, awesome returner. Then we had an offense that was ready to blossom and bloom. Unfortunately, we start off the year and it was just tough sledding because Tony Banks just was unfortunately unable to capitalize and on the things that needed to be capitalized on. With that said, literally when you look at Trent Dilfer, Trent came in, and I think the first few games he was trying to fit his style of offense into what we already established. And so there was still some more struggles. Come the Cincinnati game, now all of a sudden it opened up and, Trent realized I can't be an outside the numbers thrower. I got tight ends, in particular Shannon Sharp. I'm going to feature him. I will get an opportunity to throw it to the outside, but I'm just going to pick my spots. Did I, as a receiver, like that? No. Was I a guy that was loving the fact that we were winning? Heck yeah. Yeah. Was our defense and our offense, the chemistry and the way in which guys communicated, was it on point? Big time. I can't tell you how awesome it was to, again, we're looking back on it and I can say without question, obviously the bullies of Baltimore and 30 for 30 and all that, you can reflect back on what that time was like, which that time was the greatest defense to ever play. I don't care, Chicago Bears fan. That was the greatest defense. I don't care, Seattle Seahawks. That was the greatest defense like to ever play. I don't care, whoever you want to else pick. The Pittsburgh Steelers back in the 70s. All those other defenses were amazing. All those other defenses had their fair share of Hall of Fame players. All those other defenses, they sure had their story to tell. But our defense, wow, like to not give up 1,000 yards cumulative with the murderer's row of running backs that we had in our division alone was just remarkable. And again, that was an incredible year. People on the outside, I don't think they realize how, special the chemistry was. And, you can control what you can control. When the ball came our way, I'm a big play threat. Made the necessary big plays when it was my time. When it was my time to block for Jamal or Priest, bam, I'm doing it because we winning. And at the same time, I'm sure Trent would have loved to have been that guy, to have been healthy throughout the season. But he had some injuries that he was dealing with, and I credit him for being gutsy and competitive and doing what he needed to do to continually go along the lines. Real quick story. Literally, Trent in Tennessee, obviously Tennessee is undefeated 2 years at home. Mm-hmm. They got an amazing squad. We go up to Tennessee, and we're winning. All we got to do is put the game away. Well, we call 4 wides, and it was Seattle. Seattle, boom, you run slants. They come up, Greg Williams, actually, the defensive coordinator for the Titans. He calls this crazy, funky-looking blitz, but he drops a guy back into coverage. Trent reads it the wrong way. Boom, I think the guy was Phoenix might have been the defensive back. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anyway, he intercepts it, pick 6, goes the other way. And I'm like, mother of pearl, you got to be kidding me. We're about to lose this game. We had it won. So we go back in the huddle after the kickoff return, and Trent comes in the huddle. He goes, guys, I know. I just messed up. I threw an interception. But we're going to go down the field. We're going to score. We're going to win. I'm like, okay. I'm going to commit. I'm going to get a Bowflex. We went out there, lined up, marched down the field, did our thing. Literally, Greg Williams calls another all-out blitz. Boom, I adjust my route. Ball comes up in the air, bop, pass interference. We get it at the, 2-yard line, 1-yard line. Yeah. They call, our play caller was Matt Cavanaugh. He calls quick sprint right 17. And literally, I go in motion, quick sprint right 17. I run a pick play for Patrick Johnson. Patrick is the 1 route. Boom, we get a game-winning touchdown. That was Trent Dilfer. Very gutsy, very competitive, hard-nosed guy. But it was a special year offensively, roundabout way to say. I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed my time in Baltimore. Absolutely thoroughly loved playing with the greatest defense to ever play.
Oh, that had to have been crazy to see that in person, man. It had to have been wild.
Think about it. They had Eddie George, shut him down. Corey Dillon for Cincinnati, shut him down. Fred Taylor, Jacksonville, shut him down. Jerome Bettis, shut him down. I forget who was the running back or backs for Cleveland, but shut them down too. They made Corey Dillon not want to play.
Oh, yeah.
Quit. I mean, that's how bad it was. They hurt quarterbacks. Quarterbacks oh, my God, I don't know. Tony Saragusa, may rest in peace, mother of pearl. That dude, Rich Gannon still probably rubbing his shoulder every time.
Oh my gosh, man!
Like just amazing. So
I'll never forget that when that play happened. It was like we just knew that it was our time. It was happening. It was coming.
Absolutely,
that was such an awesome year, man.
I have a question for you about that year, Qadry. Every day in practice, you're seeing the first team defense. Who was harder for you to go one-on-one with? Was it McAllister or was it Starks?
So I saw C-Mac and D Starks at Jonathan Ogden's golf event this year. By the way, both guys look great. Talk about the kiss of DNA. Freaking C-Mac looks like he can still play. Like that dude, bruh. Woo, man. Like he looks great. But with that said, it was hilarious because I was a vet and C-Mac was a rookie. That dude would always try me. Dude, let's go right now. I'll lock you down. I was like, bro, no, you're not. Don't even try. Like, you're not going to do it. And sure enough, we would have our battles. Man, I would smoke that dude all the time.
That's great.
That said, when it came to D Starks, it was interesting because he was more subtle in his game. He would come up to line press and he would like hop back, and then I would try to figure out, and I'm like, what? And off we would go. But for the most part, both guys are just tremendous players. You felt like when you got to the game, like the game was easy because you had two dudes that were really super competitive, and you didn't really feel like like you were not prepared yourself to go out and play well.
Was James Trapp as nasty at practice as he was in the games?
James never turned into Joe until game day. Like gotcha. James and I came out the same year, and when James turned into Joe on game day, man, that dude was just he was a different cat. But when he was like during week of practice, like that dude was just James Trapp. Hey, what's up, bro? All right, good. Everything good? Yeah, everything good. Man, game day. He turned into Joe. Joe was a different player.
Vicious dude. That was a vicious dude right there.
Just amazing special teams player. And when it came to just making plays, like Joe is Joe. Corey Harris also was another guy who was invaluable for the defense, but also invaluable as a returner, invaluable as a special teams guy, extremely high football IQ, and just knew the game so incredibly well.
Q, do you guys, I mean, I know you just said you saw C-Mac and Stark, but do you guys stay in touch? Did you guys see each other or talk any?
So it's so funny you asked that. A lot of people have asked that over the years. And I think early on it was kind of like, you had to wait for like some kind of a gathering or something. Like our 10-year anniversary, that was a ton of fun. My God, man, that was amazing. So with social media, like, you get instant access to talk to guys. I mean, it's easy to see guys literally and what they're doing. And so it gives me a chance to like Travis Taylor and I, over the summer, he basically like let my family stay with him before our house up in Reisterstown was being completed. So that was a lot of fun, and we got a chance to, as families, just know each other, and so it was cool to get to know him, but then also stay in touch and just be able to see each other via social media. I mean, it's just Patrick Johnson, over the years, just seeing him. Obviously, Brandon Stokely blowing it up, from a social media standpoint, and media in general out in Denver. Like. The camaraderie, you don't lose that brotherhood, if you will. and I am appreciative of social media. And unfortunately, losing Goose, because my son and his son both played at Villanova at the same time, so I got a chance to see Goose on a regular, and it was just hard for me to see him pass so suddenly the way he did.
Yeah, we love Goose. He's a
that was
legend
terrible.
in town.
Yeah,
absolutely. Q, can you give us any insight, man? Me and Matt talk about this a lot, and if you can't, you can't. But I always feel like Chris McAllister should be in the Ring of Honor. I feel like he should get more respect. His name's not anywhere. The Ravens. I mean, it's almost like. I mean, what happened, man? Like, why did he get blackballed? Almost, it seems like.
Well, Chris, he was arguably one of the dopest, awesomest, talented athlete / defensive backs to put on a Ravens uniform. He was Jimmy Smith before Jimmy Smith.
He was.
But, John Harbaugh came into a team that was out of control. Guys, didn't fully respect the way the ship just got way too loose. Yeah. And so John was putting the clamps down on people. And I think Chris was in a position where, hey, man, I'm Chris McAllister. Who are you? You're a special teams coach. So I think some of those bridges that were kind of, I won't say completely burned, but were kind of frayed. You get into a position where now, John has the reins of, whether it be Ring of Honor, whether it be, the way my team is welcomed or not welcomed in, all those things. It comes down to, he who wears a crown makes all the rules. So I hope someday it's discussed and it's examined. But for right now, Chris is on the outside looking in.
Yeah. We hope that changes one day. Qadry, but before we ask you the last portion of our questions, I just wanted to get your thoughts. I know you played in Indy for your final season. What did you think of their new uniform unveiling today with the new alternate with the black helmet?
Indy did that?
They have an all-blue uniform with white stripes on the shoulders with a black helmet with a blue horseshoe and blue face mask.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I mean, no. Like, I maybe depends on what the blue looks like, but the black helmet element,
that's weird.
That's just, I'm not gonna say that's just dumb, but that's just dumb. I mean, like, I don't know, like, not black. Maybe.
Yeah, I'll send a picture to you on in the messages later on, but yeah, it was crazy. I didn't know if you had caught it or not today, but I wanted.
I saw like the Cleveland Browns unveiled theirs, and somebody was looking or posted it up next to Cincinnati's, and they were like, "Oh, they're just copying Cincinnati," which I kind of was like, "Well, I mean, not really." I thought it was better than what they had with the leprechaun giant dude, whatever his name was.
Whatever he is,
I don't know. With Cincinnati, I like they were unique, but Cleveland, I kind of like what they look like now, but like F. Scott Fitzgerald, I'm appreciative of what the Ravens look. I think their uniforms look so clean. Then you got that other team out there in Western PA, and then they get the throwbacks with those ugly jail-looking jerseys.
Oh, man. Or the Bumblebee ones. I like the Bumblebee ones they wear. They look terrible, man.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, man. But give me the all black. But my favorite, like I said, when it comes to championships, you got to go all white with the purple lettering. Like that, to me, is just, woo, that's a smooth jersey.
That's a clean look, man. So the last thing I really wanted to ask you about, Qadry, before we wrap the show, you're highly respected in Baltimore. You were on the first ever Super Bowl team here. You've planted your life here. You work, with WJZ. You do the pregame shows. You've done radio. How is it interacting with players and then having to be objective in the critique of the game and how they play while simultaneously being around them in this day and age?
Well, it's way different. Last year was probably the first year where things went a little sideways for me personally.
Wow.
With regards to the way in which, so basically, Lamar Jackson put on some muscle. I tweeted out, so I do sports performance training. I'm at my facility right now. This is my logo, Missile Training. You can go to missiletraining.com if you want some more information.
There you go. We'll let you promote away
That
at the
said,
end, brother.
Literally, as I am sitting here, like in my mind, I'm like, you got to be careful if you're Lamar's trainer, getting him too big, because I know how I train is different from a traditional way of training. And I purposely set it up that way because of the decades of going with the different trainers and realizing that the traditional way harms you, not helps you. So I posted that up on Twitter. You would have thought I said, Lamar Jackson sucks and Lamar is going to be terrible. Lamar is going to throw the ball in the dirt because he has too many biceps that are just bulging out of his shoulders. You would have thought I said some of the dumbest things. The way in which people interacted with me, I was like, what the F. Scott Fitzgerald are y'all talking about? Y'all have no clue what I'm trying to say. I'm not even talking about Lamar in a bad way. Like, I'm just saying, hey, I hope he's mindful, the trainer who trained him. At the same time, when you look at him now, dude looks a little bit slimmer and not as cut up and beefy.
He does.
So last year, who was it? It was Tyler Huntley. I think it was it the Denver game?
I was at the Denver game. Yes.
Okay, so he comes in the Denver game. Tyler had his shoulder had tendonitis and was like taking a break throughout training camp. He clearly makes a team, clearly is the backup, clearly does his thing. As a backup, you ain't getting that many reps.
Right.
When your starter goes down, you're hoping that, okay, it's minor and he's going to come back in. Mother of freaking pearl. The first thing that Greg Roman does is have Tyler throw a deep out.
He did. That's true.
Tyler throws a beautiful ball. Literally, I'm like, yo, I'm going to tweet out, oh, man, Tyler Huntley, he's on. Again, you would have thought I said Lamar should not be playing. Trade him now. Cut him. Don't pay him anything. Tyler Huntley is our guy. Go ahead and pay him what you would have paid Lamar. You would have thought I said that. Wow. All I'm saying is your backup is ready. Your backup can go ahead and lead you to victory. Hopefully, Lamar is going to be okay, and we can go ahead right back on and do what we do.
And you, out of all people, would know that for a simple fact because you experienced it 20 years earlier.
That's it. Right. So, I don't really have beef or issue with players that are active. I have issue with the idiots that are their fans that think that they can oh, I'm going to protect my guy. I'm going to protect him. I'm going to tell everybody what Qadry is saying is wrong. And I'm like, bro, what are you even talking about? Like, it's hilarious to me how just bad some of the fan base really got last year. Like, I was like, all right, whatever. So literally the fellas, all of them, I mean, they do what they do. I don't necessarily criticize for criticizing's sake. I'm going to give a fan base insight into like the flow of the game. So, for example, Patrick Queen was playing extremely well, but up until that point, we hadn't really seen like a level of consistency. In comes Roquan Smith, and Roquan, my God, man, elevated the entire team, and Patrick continued to flourish. Mm-hmm. Well, at the same time, it didn't surprise me that they didn't pick up Patrick's option. Patrick, of course, feeling some type of way, goes to social media and says, sheesh. But at the same time, you're going to draft another young guy. That's just the way the game is played. If you feel you're good about your talent, go out and play. And I think Patrick's going to have a great year. But I think from a fan base perspective and just the way, again, social media is, it's a different type of a pressure. It's a different type of a flow for players. And I just think overall, bottom line, I love it. I engage with it. I'm here for it. But at the same time, there's some idiots that have no clue what they're saying, and they're just so fanboy, but they're so dumb. Like literally D-U-M with the capital B as in dumb bums. There it is.
I love it. Awesome.
I appreciate the blunt honesty.
Well, he's telling the truth, man. It drives me nuts.
Really is.
It drives me nuts.
He really is.
I've learned to I can't engage with it because then I get lost in it, and then I end up like down on their level, being stupid with them, and then I just ignore it.
Literally, I probably for the first time blocked like 3 guys. So yeah, I was like, okay, so that's the black helmet.
Yeah, our esteemed producer wanted to show you real quick. That is the new look uniform right there.
So that looks like, I mean, that looks kind of college-y.
It does.
I'm not going to hate on that. That looks kind of hard because the blue is a darker blue.
Yeah, that black and blue kind of. I like it kind of, man. I like the
black and blue. That black and blue. I didn't know what kind of blue was it going to be. I thought it was going to be like that lighter blue, which would have just
washed against it. But Q, I know that you got to run, and I know you got an early day tomorrow. We want to thank you so much for taking your time to give us almost an hour. We loved having this chat with you. We hope you can have come back on the show again. Before we let you go, let everybody know about your training center and where they can find you and if they want to get any information.
Yeah, it's missiletraining.com. Go to my website. That's the easiest way. Obviously, you see Twitter handle right there at the bottom of the screen. Twitter handle is, you could DM me, get you some information as far as whether it be you yourself personally. Bottom line is I train people from 6 years old up to 84. Speed, strength, lifestyle improvement. If you got some sort of function that you got to prepare yourself for, all of that. Doesn't matter the sport, doesn't matter the lifestyle. As far as fitness and health and nutrition, I'm here for it all. I'm up in Harford County, but DM me on the Twitter handle at qimissile.com. Pardon me, missiletraining.com. qimissile.com. That was long ago. Missiletraining.com is where you want to go. Check out the information and love to interact with you guys.
Awesome.
Absolutely. I'm a recommend my brother-in-law to check you out. He's looking to get some training for my niece. So thank you again, Q. Hopefully we can get you on before the Ravens season starts. We enjoy watching you on TV and listening to you on the radio whenever you hop on over to the Ravens broadcast. Have a great night, brother. Josh, go ahead and sign us off.
All right, Ravens fans. Training camp's about to start. It's all about to go down. Let's all enjoy it. I'm tired. Let's go to bed. Shut it down.